वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा। वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। हरि ओम, कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Yes, please. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? We form the link and we move ahead. Varade Kamarup. Right, Chitraji? Yes, please.
Yeah, so somewhere the other sadhaks experiences of and them leaving the ashram despite having a lot of heights achieved in the sadhana and certain his own difficulties made Dr. Nirodbaran ask certain questions to Sri Aurobindo. So some of the questions were mostly about Dr. Nirodbaran feeling that his emotions are at somewhere the forces are trying to derail him and playing with his emotions because he sees a sudden drift from happiness to depression. And also, he is unsure what yoga holds for him or if he'll be able to achieve something in this path. So, for which he gets a response that each person has his own struggles and one has to rise above it. There's no path that is without all of these in order to grow. And also, there's nothing that something is sure, that nobody is sure of anything in this path, and it's impossible to do anything great by telling her, do it if I'm sure. So, this is another thing that we saw. And also, he expresses that unlike other seekers, I mean, other teachers or like, I think Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's example is what was
Other
given.
yogis. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, so that he's not giving some kind of assurances to the disciples, for which he gets that Sri Aurobindo says that he will not feel bad or and broke even if he falls out. He'll be more than happy to try again. So this is another thing. And also he makes a point that he's never told that the path of yoga is safe and easy. It is for those who are willing to go through it, and irrespective of the gender or whatever the advancement each sadhak has. So always one must remember to be single-minded and should not fluctuate between the vital emotions and also aiming high in sadhana. And the things that are necessary are single-minded devotion, surrender to the divinity, and faith and true love for the divine, complete sincerity in the will and humility. So difficulties will arise, but if one is alert, this can help them grow and progress. And then we saw a little bit about double being or what is this double nature. It refers to those who have contrasted parts of their own being without having control over them, basically those who fluctuate. So if one can find the central being or transform the lower forces to serve as an advantage, then harmony can be created. So this is something that we saw.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chitraji, for bringing us all up to date. And we continue. So this question which Dr. Nirodbaran is having is actually quite a genuine one. Has anybody felt like that? Arjuna felt, no, what happens, Krishna? Yoga Brashta, if I become Yoga Brashta, Arjuna asked in the Gita. So like that, has anybody felt doubts about the spiritual path only? Because many times people walk, suddenly existential questions only start coming in. Ki, what is this? I'm absolutely not meant for it. Or what if I don't succeed? What if these lower forces are too strong and I too weak that these lower forces will take over me and I will get lost? I will get lost in the current of life. I will get lost in who knows what is my prarabdha, who knows what I have done in last birth. I have to just suffer consequences. These are all lower thoughts of a enemy. Which enemy? The enemy within only. Atmaiva bandhuratmana, atmaiva ripuratmana is said in the Gita. So the lower forces, when we listen to them, that becomes the problem. That is why many sadhaks, Dr. Nirodhan was afraid because he thought these sadhaks had the talent. They had knowledge. They had some kind of, intellectual ability also. Some people have, they're very good with numbers, they're very good with dates, they're very good with logic, they're very good with influencing people with their words. Different people have different talents. So Nirodban was surprised. Ki, what is this? How did these people walk away? Well, he wanted a guarantee, no? He said, I won't give me some guarantee. Arvind says he also does not have guarantee for himself. No, no, but what if you fail? No, if I fail, I will try again. That was the greatest and most humble response of a guru. Very rare do we see this. And Sri Aurobindo says, yes, I will try again. That's why his teachings are very, very powerful and inspiring. The way he lived his life also. Nobody knows how much he struggled, how much he suffered, endured. Will not say suffered because he did not suffer. Suffering is for those who are attached. His, he endured but did not suffer. He was not afraid of failure also. And that is the fearlessness. Just a few moments back, I had a talk with somebody, a senior sadhika. She had called saying she's afraid. She's afraid about what demographic changes are taking place and she's afraid what is going to happen. Now that is right. Maybe in some ways some people will have such questions. But can fear guarantee anything? And especially when she's doing some work, if she gets deviated from her work because of fear, what's going to happen? So those are the times we have to learn to take one step back. Otherwise, this flux of the emotions will completely overwhelm us. And this double nature, what Nirodbaran was asking. So Sharvin beautifully clarified that. What you have to do is simple. If you can convert that lower being inside or discover the central being, then you can experience harmony and progress ahead. We have a choice. One is discover the central being. This is very difficult. No. What? There is a central divine being inside of me? No. Katham. I remember first Aham Brahmasmi, first question was Katham. How? And then I tried to meditate sitting on the compound wall of a park because I can't go to the Himalayas, I cannot go to the mountains. Closest place I can do is I can go and sit on the compound wall of a park. People say no, they like to do higher studies. So I was literally trying to raise my altitude little bit. And meditate. And I thought this is the time I have free time now, no other duties remaining. So let me meditate upon this Aham Brahmasmi, especially this shloka of Shivoham. How is this possible was the question. So I thought let us do dhyana. What happened? Next minute, security guard came, shouted at me and got me down, and I came down completely. Again, I was like, what is this? I'm not allowed to meditate also for some time. What's so wrong in sitting there? I was comfortably sitting and planning. God is not allowing me to even do dhyana. Or there was a time when I thought I am only Apshagun. It is my presence that is causing problems. So if I leave, Damleji will be having a good time in all projects which are getting stopped. Now, what is all of this? These are all lower nature of human beings. And these are the lower nature. The lower nature is something we have to insulate ourselves from. If we do not insulate, we will meet the same fate as all those great ones who could not go ahead because of their whims. We can call it whims only, whims of the lower nature. So that should not happen. So Sri Aurobindo beautifully gave us two beautiful techniques. Whichever is, like I said, Chasita Thakuru, do what you feel, do what is easy for you. The first technique is recognize the central being, divinity inside of you. If you're able to recognize divinity, where will the question of undivine? Somebody comes and says you are undivine, you are Asura. I have seen you in your last janma and I can tell you are a biggest Asura. You will laugh, no? I will laugh louder than maybe even Ravana's 10 heads. Because I am not. I will know that because when I have recognized that there is a central divine being inside of me. Or second option is not able to see यहाँ पे कोई central being ही नहीं है. That feeling is only coming. You're not able to identify the central being. Convert that lower being. Convert the lower being. Those lower thoughts. Best way is to stop is to ignore them. They disappear. And just that is the only two simple ways Krishna is saying, Sri Aurobindo is saying for harmonizing. Let us continue with Dr. Nirodbaran's question. He says, during meditation, I had again a strong feeling of pressure. As you had advised, I tried to enlarge my consciousness by thinking that I was as large as the universe. But is that the way? Sri Aurobindo, yes, at any rate, it's a very good way. There may be others, but I think it is the best. So there are some sukshma anubhav which come to us when we do dhyana. What is the sukshma anubhav? Is there a book with SOPs of what sukshma anubhav I should get after how many japas? No. Somebody may do 1 lakh japa and still not get a sukshma anubhav. Somebody may get it after 10 shlokas. And what will be that subtle anubhav? Somebody may feel agni. Somebody may feel heat. Somebody may feel a tingling sensation. Somebody may feel cold. Somebody may get a sugandha. These are all different. And at those times, what you should do is, again, when the anubhav comes, what should you do? You should take the anubhav. You should experience it, not try to immediately dissect it and look. You get your favorite dish, you suddenly try to let us now send it to analysis for lab. I want to identify what is in it. No, you eat it, then afterwards go meet the cook after enjoying, relishing it. Okay, please tell me how did you make it? It is as simple as that. So this is what Nirodbaran is saying. Yes, Sri Aurobindo is saying, yes. What did he do? He tried to enlarge his consciousness and receive it properly. That is all we have to do. We should not pine. We should not, oh, I want more, I want less, or I want this as something I can't tolerate immediately. Because whenever I used to do dhyana, I used to feel some insect is here. I have to scratch it once at least. And in that scratching, the disturbance would take place. So if I yielded to that disturbance, again I have gone out of the, what we can say, control. Something like that. Or somebody's anubhav. I had met so many people with so many anubhavs, and I was like, hey, what is this? I mean, I remember telling my mother, if I get one LED light also is okay. Everybody is getting so many different anubhavs of so many various spectral lights. Somebody is having this experience, that experience. At least one. No, we don't have to compare. Only we have to become quiet, calm, and experience and absorb it. That is all that needs to be done. And here, as Nirodharan said, I tried to enlarge my consciousness, thinking, because mind is going to help us. Mind is our instrument. Mind is our instrument for reaching to states which are beyond the mind. So we'll have to use the mind. We're not going to discard the mind. So how do you discard? I mean, how do you use the mind? Widen it. Make it. If it's the Adhar, increase the capacity of the Adhar. Widen it. So here Nirodban was visualizing as he was meditating and getting an experience that let me visualize that I am vast. Tukaram has said, Anu Reniya Thokada, Tuka Akasha Yoda. Smaller than Anu, smaller than Renu. Tuka is wider than the skies. And just look at the sky also. If you just see sometimes in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, look at the sky. It is so vast and your mind also becomes quiet. There was a quote attributed to the Buddha. When you realize how perfect everything is, you tilt your head and laugh at the sky. First time I heard it, somebody is having some problem. Why will someone laugh at the sky? But afterwards, I did recognize ki chalo theek hai. When you recognize, you're able to see the moment of the divine. So widening of consciousness is connected with skies. So imagining ourselves, if we want to draw an inference, when we are experiencing, let us go become calm. Let us probably take some breath also if we want to, but remember, continue that layer of that meditation, but just try to widen ourselves as much as we can. Nirodbaran, next question again. I don't know anything about the example you gave of a double being. You have read, I'm sure, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Is that an instance of a double being? Anybody here has read or heard about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Yes, quite a famous. Okay, I think Manisha ji says yes. Maybe the younger generation would not have come across too much. I think that was, yes, Manisha ji. Would you like to share something about it?
It's long back. I don't remember the story
Yeah, but they were
exactly
the same
because
person, isn't it?
the
I think
same person at a certain point of time he used to be very nice. That's
it would
Dr.
transform.
Jekyll.
Yeah,
Dr. Jekyll was the good person, and Mr. Hyde was the bad person.
yes,
So
yes.
he used to do all kind of criminal and the wrong activities when he became Mr. Hyde. And the same person who was Dr. Jekyll, he used to
Yeah,
be a very nice, a good human
yes,
being.
yes, yes, Manisha ji. My generation has only come watching it in the cartoons and animated. So we have not read that novel or actually seen any movie about it. But yes, this double being, Dr. Nirodbaran is immediately. Are you mentioning like this? Because I have not heard of double being before. Sri Aurobindo says, well, it is something very much like that, except that the possession of the consciousness by either personality is not always or often as complete as that. Means he says it's something like, means we can say in a way it is something of sort of a schizophrenia, no? That is Jekyll and Hyde. One person, this person does not know about the other person. This personality is unaware of the other personality. Well, double being, Sri Aurobindo says, maybe to some extent. Many times when we have ankar and we speak something, do we realize that we have ankar? No. Anybody tells us at that time when we have ankar, we try to attack that person only who is trying to point out. Sometimes even if that person is the guru also, ankar will come in between. And Shishya will cease to be such Shishya, he'll become the opposite. Because that is the role of ankar. And so Sri Aurobindo says it's something like that, but it's not as complete as in the example of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Means the personality is not something like that. Then again, Dr. Nirodbaran asks, is divine force somewhat different from Ananda and peace in its operation? When peace descends or Ananda invades, one can distinctly feel it as coming from above. But what about the force? So it's again in connection with his dhyana. So in dhyana, these two experiences Dr. Nirodbaran has had. One is he, he's used the beautiful word, invasion of Ananda. When you go into meditation, sometimes Ananda starts. Has anybody experienced that? A bliss which is beyond. Yes, Dr. Surajji, you'd like to share something about it, sir? Yeah, yeah, yes, you are muted.
Like sometimes the bliss will come on its own. You don't have to chase for it.
And it's not like just some happy good news. Sometimes you think of somebody you like and you feel happy. That's different. No, this is
It's
Ananda.
uh, when someone takes away a load from your shoulders,
Ha ha
feel
ha.
relief and happiness. That kind
Yeah.
of a thing, and in an another realm, with the
Okay.
mind, the like obviously when you
Everywhere.
go
It's
meditation,
like
we don't.
everywhere. It's like everywhere, isn't it? Invasion in a sense, it's like spreading everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, when in a part of a meditation where I go, like I guide also to people
Mm-hmm.
to come into that position. Like we connect with the universe, one with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the thing inside us as a part of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Feel spread out through the universe. Every
Great.
living being is a part of us,
Yeah.
and we actually connect with that living
Right. Right, sir.
being. So that kind of blissfulness come into us without
Mm.
any guide or
Yes. Yes.
that.
Yes. That is what we can say. A taste of what is that? Supreme, Satchidananda. Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Truth, consciousness,
Like
and bliss. They
I
come
used
together. Yeah.
to take the Jivatma as a droplet of rainwater, and just like that raindrop mixed with the sea, it loses its identity and becomes one with the sea. Same,
Uh,
our Jivatma has to drop into the Paramatma
yeah. Yeah.
and heal the universe through the viewpoint of Paramatma.
Okay, this beautiful imagery Dr. Surajji has given. Oh, Dr. Bhavna is correctly unmuted. I was going to call Dr. Bhavna or Rajiv ji. Does it draw a parallel? Does it draw a parallel of some saint's words? Marathi saint.
Yeah, yeah. It is a salt doll.
Yeah, yeah.
Salt doll
Acha.
getting dissolved in the sea.
Okay, all right. Salt doll getting dissolved in sea. Okay, fine. That is one, but I felt more about the drop, the ripple of the drop falling into it, like Anandachi.
आनंदाचे आनंद तरंग
Yes, Anandachi dohi
आनंदाचे डोही आनंद तरंग.
and Anandachi anga.
Can I give one experience of mine? आनंदाची
Okay.
अंग आनंदाचे
Ananda.
आनंदाचे डोही आनंद
Yeah.
तरंग
Yeah.
आनंदाची अंग आनंदाचे.
Means the ripple is also Ananda.
Okay. I
Everywhere there
just
is ripple.
wanted to
Yeah, please go on. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
I can I
Yeah. Most.
I went to one friend's house and there was another friend came there and it happened that she was distributing something
Your audio, there's an issue,
people.
Dr. Bhavanaji.
So she gave prasad also. So
Yeah. Your audio is breaking continuously.
yeah, I can't help it. I will tell later.
All right, in the group you can send it to us. See. Fine.
Yeah.
You can send an audio message. All right. Yeah, I'll just note. So let us continue. So here. So this was question. One was, is it this Ananda invading or peace descending? The descent of peace takes place from higher to lower. That descent happens. So is that it? But what about the force? Is Nirodbaran's question. Because these experiences, he says, I can distinctly feel. I can feel them. I can tell them. They are like this. Once upon a time, that also he was not sure. So he has gone ahead. That's the indication. But what about the force? Sri Aurobindo says, one can feel it the same way if it descends into the body. But sometimes it simply works from above or behind or within. And in that case, one may be conscious of the result, the energy given without feeling the force itself. So this is interesting. Sri Aurobindo says that like this only, like Ananda, like peace, same thing, force also works the same way. Sometimes you are conscious, sometimes you are not conscious. Means you may not feel the force, but the force will be working through you. You'll know the end result. You'll see the work done, and then you're like, oh, I did it. How did it happen? But there was a force working. Many times, I think Chitraji gave a beautiful floral meditation example, isn't it? About how forces enter into people in various rituals. So that was a beautiful example about the same thing. So yes, the forces work. Sometimes you are conscious, sometimes you are unconscious. It's just like Ananda, it's just like peace. Nirodbaran asks, why is it so rarely felt? Is it more difficult to bring it down? Sri Aurobindo says, no, it depends on the person. Many people feel the force more easily than the peace or the Ananda. So it varies from person to person. Nirodbaran may be feeling it's little difficult. But Sri Aurobindo says, no, some people actually get easily understand this is a force. Sometimes I understand force is entered, so I'm feeling cranky. It's not mine. This force has come from somewhere, some trigger, somewhere. So this is what we call gunas, no? They are at play. It's a play of forces continuously taking place, what we have been told in the Gita also. You have to observe it. Some people observe it, some people remain ignorant. But it's not bliss because this ignorance ultimately leads you to some karma bandhana only. Then the bliss disappears also. Let's continue. Nirodbaran, he says, today Almira was completed after 38 days. costing rupees 98. To me, it seems too much. But I don't know how the labor could have been reduced. I think it's very difficult for today's day and age to recognize 98 rupees as being too much for an almirah, but it was this time in 1935. Sri Aurobindo says that needs a knowledge and keen observation, I suppose, to see whether the fruit of the work is as good as the show. But you are there for supervision mainly, not for expert knowledge. So, Sri Aurobindo says you are Kshetra, your job is supervision, not for experts. So it's all right. Nirodbaran, I can never imagine that someday I shall have an expert knowledge of carpentry to supervise and regulate the work. This doctor was sent into the carpentry department after he came for the sadhana. First thing was carpentry. Why? Probably he had to undergo some unlearning process before he started handling the patients. That was important for him. So there he can properly understand. So here he's feeling, I'll never get a hang of carpentry, I'll never get expertise. Sri Aurobindo replies, well, get the energy from the above, in bracket the force, and put it forcefully on the carpenters. If one day you can do that, you will you will amply justify your timber throne. So Sri Aurobindo is saying, call upon the force, get the energy from above, put it forcefully into the carpenters. If one day you can do that, you will amply justify your timber throne. So this is actually very interesting because Sri Aurobindo uses humor, but he doesn't simply use humor, dry humor. It's actually humor with meaning, which now here, one is he is feeling that he wants to get expertise in this. So he's used the word timber throne. So somewhere that is one kind of ichha and akanksha. No? Yeah, I want to become an expert. But for that also he is given a beautiful technique. Get the energy from above and then put it forcefully. I think people who work with personnel, no, multiple people, you manage, say, people who manage teams or people who are in charge of some, say, construction. Basically, now carpentry is the best example. You have to get work done from multiple people. So to get work done, sometimes you have to, put force in people. Many times unconsciously it is done, but many times consciously also it can be done. I remember Damliji was once, he is from his life story only, that when he was coming back in a bus, the bus driver was driving in a very rash manner. So much that one more sadhika who was with him was also sensitive. She understood that this is not right. This is looking something weird. I'm feeling those very negative vibes from this driver. And she came to him and she indicated that this is something he's driving very wrongly. Do something, because she had a confidence that you tell something to Damleji, he will do it. He said, don't worry. And he he just changed his position. He sat in such a way that he directly looks at that driver and he kept doing Tratak for a while. Tratak is a type of concentration. Correctly, that whatever force it was pushing inside, that disappeared. And he went on the journey. The remaining part of the journey went properly. What Damliji was doing Tratak and a mantra jap going on simultaneously. We don't realize the moment of forces. But forces come or not. If anybody has watched animals play, suddenly a dog which is lying down suddenly gets up. Have you seen that or not? Suddenly out of nowhere. Yes, Dr. Suruji wants to say something? Please unmute, sir, if you wish to. Yeah, I am sorry, I every time muted, but so that there is no echo. Please tell me, sir. Yeah.
Hey, energy can be felt like
It can be felt. It can be felt.
that.
So,
We felt some energies in some temples when we go for the
temper. Yes, yes, yes.
like it feels like some wind is passing through there, but there is no physical wind.
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
Have felt.
yes, yes, yes. So this is why yogis are masters of the game. They're not played around, no, by the forces. What's that? Why is yogi? Yogi is in connection with what? With the divine, no? Yog. He's in yoga. There's no viyog. There's no separation. Because there's no separation, he's able to understand. This is higher force. This is lower force. Lower force, no entry. No entry inside. I will not allow. That is where you are able to then play with the forces. Force comes at you, like we say energy, we say force. There's a rule, no? Force is law of force is also, no? Action has a reaction. Whatever is, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If you add a divine force, reaction will be divine reaction. So we will have to understand that and quickly probably move out. So that's one indication that one in terms of sadhana, if you want to draw a pointer, well, Nirodbaran can become the Raja of timber if if he connects with the divine and receives the energies to, transmit the force into the other carpenters. Nirodbaran again, he says, in yoga, everything seems to be opposite. My rupees 20,000 over medical education are in vain. This dialogue, so many, even in modern times, people say, but 20,000 is not the amount. That time's amount, it was a huge amount. This is my rupees 20,000 over medical education are in vain. I don't know what purpose will be served by making me a carpenter of the divine. If, on the contrary, I could be the son of a carpenter, that would be something. Nirodbaran. Sri Aurobindo, he replies, I was under the impression that you were not enthusiastic over medicine, or at least over the practice of it. If we had known that you were anxious to justify the 20,000, we could have utilized you in that direction. Are you serious about it? So again, this is not why a medical profession should be done, isn't it? Because I invested something, I have to get this in return. We said we were not sure. We were not sure about it. Otherwise, we could have utilized this. Again, humor only. Sri Aurobindo, Nirodbaran says, if, as you say to D, remembering the divine and giving thanks at the end ought to be enough, that is very simple and easy. Sri Aurobindo, one must also aspire for the force and for the consciousness of the force. So, means this is the habit Dr. Nirodbaran is having always, no? Reading out somebody else's message given to someone else and then using it in his context. So for that person, probably it was enough. But here, Sri Aurobindo says it's not only enough, you should also have the aspiration for the force. Otherwise, what's going to happen? Sab theek chal raha hai. I'm okay. It's all right. Everything is okay. What will happen? There will be no forward movement only. You will remain where you are. That is also a risk. World is also moving, no, continuously. So you have to keep progressing, keep evolving at every time. And for that, we need to have the aspiration. Force, aspiration for what? For the force and for the consciousness of the force. So for this force and aspiration for the force and the consciousness of the force, do we have to go to a Jajwalya Sthana only to receive the force? Or can we receive the force anywhere, anytime, any place? Anybody? What do you think? Yes, anybody? To receive that force
Anywhere,
anywhere,
anytime.
anytime, anywhere, but our sincerity of aspiration should be there. It should be like how Ma Bahina Bai Chaudhary, the great poetess, she became a widow at a very early age. She didn't get a chance to go to the temple. She had to work to get food on the table for her children. She had to go working in the fields, but her aspiration for the force was so strong that Bhagavad Gita came from the soil in the fields for her. She would say, Mazi Maya Soroswati, Maza Shikavite Boli. My mother Saraswati, she teaches me to speak. She has planted so many secrets in Bahina's mind. That is how she called herself Bahina. Bahina's mind. In my mind, you have planted so many secrets. Who has planted? Saraswati. Ma Saraswati. But she didn't say Ma Saraswati, she said Soroswati. Now, is it tantrically less powerful because she said Soroswati instead of Saraswati? Invocation incomplete. So Mother Saraswati is now angry. She is going to say, Katti, I will not give you knowledge. No, it is not that way. It is the aspiration. It is the strong aspiration. It is the sincere aspiration of a sadhak that can connect anywhere. So importance is in force. There is importance in the consciousness of the force also. Both should be there. Again, Nirodbaran goes on. Yeah, so Sri Aurobindo had told about his medical profession in 20,000. He had made a joke. So immediately, Nirodbaran says, it comes as a great surprise to hear that you consider enthusiasm so important, for want of which you didn't utilize my medical knowledge. So he says, because enthusiasm was not there, you didn't utilize my medical knowledge. He's asking again. Sri Aurobindo replies. Sri Aurobindo replied, I meant that as you had no enthusiasm for drugs, you might just as well be busy with timber. Nirodbaran, I am really puzzled by your question. The more so because you have said I am progressing more than I would have done if I were a literary or a medical gent. So here it's a genuine question, and he is actually, what is this? I'm not understanding. This is actually something which is very interesting. This is actually the Guru sees in the Shishya what is required and then plants that only into that person. If initially the Shishya may not understand why it is being done, but it is planted and then that grows. So here he's like, alright, this is it. Is that it? I'm not able to understand. He says, what if, miss, he was like, you had only told earlier, you only told me before that I would have progressed. I'm progressing more in carpentry than if I was simply a literary person into poetry and all, or if I was only in my medical. So what is this? I don't understand. Sri Aurobindo replies, well, mother had thought of you when we wanted somebody to fill up the hole left by the erratic DS. And we also don't know what we shall do when B goes for his periodic inspection of his affairs in Gujarat. We had rejected the idea because we thought you might not only be not enthusiastic, but the reverse of enthusiastic about again becoming a medical gent. When, however, you spoke lovingly and hungeringly about the rupees 20,000, I rubbed my eyes and thought, well, here's a chance. That's all. So this was a, what we can say, the Guru has seen no, that this person had a repulsion initially. So that is why he did not want to, because Guru sees the swabhava of the Shishya and then gives the sadhana. So here he wanted to quickly, he was taking a big leap and he did not want anything connected with the spiritual line at all. I was actually, when I joined Amliji, I got the strong feeling I'll burn my degree. I went and asked this question also. I don't need my engineering degree. Can I burn it? He actually told me, no, don't. Keep it aside. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but don't burn it. Well, because that is the immediate for me. That was that time so important. But afterwards, like when I joined Amliji also 2 years, he once came and asked me, what do you want? Because he didn't want to give Adesh or order. Means Guru is also something who's understanding Swabhava, and then like even Nirodban was required. No, now we see mother wanted and somebody to, there was the person who was looking at the medical affairs was a little erratic, or there was a need. But just because there was a need, they did not want to utilize the Shishya. You can understand that. It's actually beautiful. They are waiting for it to come naturally. And so Sherwind is also joking that, yeah, you said 20,000 means you are still having some value. You feel something about, so you can. I remember 2 years I was with Damleji. I did not tell him what I want to do. Why? Because I said I thought such Shishya should not speak what he wants to do. Damleji had even asked me, what do you want to do? And like a fool, I was 21. So I told, I want to learn Astra Shastra. I don't know why I said that also now. With that time, that was the first thought that came. And he actually said, Acha, theek hai. This is a LUT. I'll tell you how to utilize it. And after 2 years, when somebody from the ashram came and said this company should not be closed down because we were deregistering everything, I went and told, sir, Balwant Bhai is saying that you should not close your 30 plus years of company which you have set up, the Ayurvedic unit, your research. Then he asked, who, Acha, but then who is going to do it? I said, if you teach me, I can do it. Then he told me, if you are going to do it, why should I close? That time, I'm here 2 years, you did not ask me to do it. He said, no, I didn't want to force upon you. Because this is our Sanatan Dharma, no? Sanatan Dharma does not force you to have an Aradhya, no? This must be your Aradhya, can somebody tell you? You must have this as your Aradhya. Can someone force? No, the Aradhya's connection is the inner one. One must understand. So it has to naturally develop inside of a person. So this is exactly what we see here. Nirodbaran, then he goes on, if you seriously think that I may add my little strength to help the divine and call me to do it, I am thrice seriously your man. So he says, if you think I have the capacity, then I am, not once, thrice. Seriously, I am your man, is what he says. Then Sri Aurobindo replies, again, no excitement. We will think of it in case of need. Nirodbaran, again he goes on. So that topic is closed. He has indicated it's in abeyance. Whether or not Dr. Nirodbaran again handles patients, we'll have to wait and watch. Suspense will continue. Nirodbaran, he asks, you speak as if the energy or force is just above the head and one has to only snatch it down. It's like you are saying as if force is floating above the head only and we have to pull it down. This pulling jokes, Nirodbaran is going to continue. He's going to even make at Sri Aurobindo's also. When Sri Aurobindo is going to do a sadhana, supramental manifestation, descent. He says, has the descent happened? Has the tail of the supramental come? Have you been able to at least catch it? So something like that. Is the force above the head? Do we have to catch it? Sri Aurobindo replies, there is a lid in between. Remove that and the forces will come tumbling down into you. You look at it, it looks like it is just simple word play or humor because he said it is on top. So Sri Aurobindo has said lid. But there is a great Vedantic significance in this simple line which Sri Aurobindo has said. There is a lid in between. Remove that and the force will come tumbling down into you. This lid is there mentioned in the Isha Upanishad also. That lid is called a golden lid. हिरण्मयेन पात्रेण सत्यस्यापि हितं मुखं तत्त्वं पूषणम् अपावृणो सत्यधर्माय दृष्टयेत्. That lid has to be broken. This is, I don't know if it's visible, this one photo is visible. This is actually a spiritual experience of the mother where she had to break open that door in that occult plane with a hammer. So that is the photo. It's a painting done by someone about that spiritual experience. So that hammer had to be broken. The hammer had to be used to break the door so that there was a flooding of the light. Like that in the Isha Upanishad also, truth is covered by a golden lid. Because it's golden, you assume it is the truth. So here also, Sri Aurobindo is saying that there's a lid in between. That lid can be preventing us from reaching the higher planes of intuition, higher planes of overmind, or maybe even higher. We don't know. That lid is really there, which has to be broken. Nirodban goes on. And even if it were, how can I put the force on the carpenters? Does it not also depend on the receptivity of the individuals? Sri Aurobindo says, much more easy if you have the force to make a carpenter carpent properly than to propel a sadhak in the way he should go. Receptivity is all important for the sadhana. it counts, but not so much in getting an ordinary thing done by an ordinary man. Means this is receptivity is required for a sadhak. Why? Sadhak is working on this, what we call the sukshma levels, isn't it? A sadhak is conscious of the forces. A sadhak has to be receptive properly. If there is improper reception, that is also a problem. But for somebody who is doing a general task, there that much receptivity's role is not required. You must have all heard, no? So sonar ka ek lohar ka. The hammering means you see how the goldsmith, he cannot use the same force as that of a person who is in a smithy, isn't it? The person in a smithy will be ironsmith will have to hit once, twice. It's so powerful blow. But that blow you use for gold, what's going to happen? It will break the gold, no? So it is different. So Sri Aurobindo says that is using the force for you to supervise people. Well, that's easier. You can actually do that. But for the sukshma level of sadhana, they're understanding the forces. But when you understand the forces, forces will travel universally also. One person, one place, another person, another place, they are still connected spiritually. Mother was getting direction. Direction from whom? From Sri Aurobindo without knowing Sri Aurobindo also. She called him Krishna. She was getting direction from some being in her spiritual plane. She was receiving it. Who receives direction knows, no? We cannot fully understand what it was. But when she came and she saw and she actually felt the presence few nautical miles away from the pyre of Pondicherry. Before she reached, she felt the force. She felt the force, and when she saw, she was like, "Oh, this is the guide who has been teaching me, who has been taking me ahead." When she saw Sakshat, so that is the consciousness. So that is the difference between a sadhak and an ordinary person. Ordinary person can be called a badhak because he is a badhak for sadhana. He is opposing sadhana. All attachments, all emotions, the bundle of emotions, bundle of attachment, bundle of ahankar, all that comes in between. That does not allow sadhana to go ahead. So their rules are different, or as much as the rules of quantum rim and classical physics. Very different. Gravity and all works in classical physics. But all those rules disappear in quantum. It's as simple as that. Nirodbaran says, he wrote to you about my proposal of shouldering the entire responsibility of the timber go down. Somehow, I felt pity for him, an overburdened, harmless gentleman. Sri Aurobindo replies, harmless only? He is one of the ablest and most quietly successful men of work I have come across. So he was appearing very simple and humble, but Sri Aurobindo himself has told he was one of the most able. So harmless is just a small word for such a able person. Nirodbaran reply, he asks, suppose I get the force from above, how to apply it on the carpenters? Sri Aurobindo says, direct it upon them in a steady stream. If force can come into you, why can't it go out from you too? So the hypothesis is that if it comes inside of me, so chalo, if it's able to come inside, then it will be able to go out also. So use it in a steady stream. These are all actually, it's very interesting when we understand the language of the forces, when we can actually be able to play and understand it. Till then, we can probably just visualize or think about it. But then the yogis are players. If at all the French Revolution took place, it was because there was there was a man on Indian snows meditating upon liberty, equality, and fraternity. That's the quote attributed to the mother. Somewhere in the Himalayan snows, one person is meditating. Somewhere else, people are experiencing these high ideals and they're getting the force to fight. So that is the movement of forces actually. Nirodbaran, he says, you laughed away my medical statement about ladies, that was, we saw it in the last week. He tried to imply that women are more, what we can say, predisposed, even physiologically or morphologically, to do sadhana, is what he was trying to explain on medical grounds. That is what Sri Aurobindo had laughed at. So he says, "You laughed away my medical statement about ladies. Is it not true that women are more receptive and psychic than men? All outward signs would direct that way, at any rate." So he's forgetting Sri Aurobindo. He's saying women are more receptive generally and more psychic than men, is what he is making a statement from his own side. Sri Aurobindo says, "Rubbish. Neither more receptive nor even more hysteric. Men, I find, can equal them even at that." So this is again, we can say there are two negations. Just like, no, they are not more capable, or then people say they are more hysterical than men. Women are different from men, or women become like this, they are this way. These are all mental constructs which are not based on truth. This is rubbish. Neither more receptive nor even more hysterical, nor more hysteric. Men, I find, can equal them even at that. Because men also are equally hysteric at times. You don't have to divide like that. It is true they declare hunger strikes more easily if you think with Gandhi that that is a sign of psychicness or soul force. But after all, non-cooperation has taken away even that inferiority from men. Nirodbaran, he says, "You wrote on the 5th that you had lived dangerously." He writes, "All that we know is that you did not have enough money in England, also in Pondicherry in the beginning. In Baroda, you had a handsome pay, and in Calcutta, you were quite well off." So the Shishya is challenging the master's statement only. The Shishya is saying, "What, you had difficulty? He says, you did not have enough money when you were in England." I mean, you just think about it, huh? Shishya talking to Guru like this. This freedom, I don't think even in modern times it's possible to have such a discussion. That is why this is one of the very most modern Guru-Shishya relationships, which is still modern from 1935, is still modern in 2024. So yes, also in Pondicherry in the beginning, very little, very, it was very difficult actually. Only 4 sadhaks were there. They had to share provisions and all. It was very difficult time. So in Baroda, he says, you had a handsome pay, and in Calcutta, you were well off. Above quiet, Sri Aurobindo put three exclamation marks. In Calcutta, you were quite well off, no? So it's like, acha, you know about Calcutta also, and he's put three exclamation marks above the word quiet. Sri Aurobindo's reply: "I was so astonished by this succinct, complete, and impeccably accurate biography of myself that I let myself go in the answer. But I afterwards thought that it was no use living more dangerously than I am obliged to. So I rubbed it all out. My only answer now is..." So many exclamations. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15, 16. I think 27 exclamations, if I'm not mistaken. I might make a mistake in counting. So he says, "Yes. I thank you for the safe, rich, comfortable, and unadventurous career you have given me. I note also that the only danger man can run in the world is that of lack of money. Karl Marx himself could not have made a more economic world of it. But I wonder whether that was what Nietzsche meant by living dangerously." It was actually a very hopeless statement, so Aurobindo didn't glorify it with logical rebuttal. You don't have to, when somebody says something which is absolutely not having any base, we should not react with tarka also, because it's no use. Then Nirodban, he says, I am rather grieved to know that you rubbed off what you wrote, and that my attempts to draw you out have failed very narrowly. But what are we to do? Everybody's opinion is that nothing can get out of you unless you are pricked. Not in my term. And we want to know so much of your life of which we know so little. So one thing which was Sri Aurobindo's nature was he would talk with full sincerity. He would respond to all the questions that are raised. So he has very nicely written that, and he's trying to say it's not my term. All other Shishyas had discussed. The only way we can get Sri Aurobindo to reveal some of the truths is by pricking him. So that is why I am doing is trying to justify. Sri Aurobindo replies, because he says, we want to know so much of your life of which we know so little. Sri Aurobindo replies, why the devil should you know anything about it? So why do you want to know all about my life? Then Nirodbaran goes on. Today he is a little bit, we can say, trading dangerously only. We'll look at three more questions and we'll stop. He says, so, so I dare to make this hazardous statement. Often we have to write strongly about what we feel and think, and so many ways and means we have to devise just for a few more strokes than you almost grudgingly allow. You will admit that I almost succeeded in my diplomacy. Forgive me. Of course, I didn't mean that lack of money is the only danger one can be in. Nevertheless, is it not true that poverty is one of the greatest dangers as well as incentives? The lives of many great men illustrate this. Therefore, living poorly seems to be akin to living dangerously. I know that my contention has obvious policies in it, but isn't this mostly true? So, Aurobindo replies. Nirodban is justifying why he has said. I think exactly before Vishwarupa Darshana or during Vishwarupa Arjuna had said, no? The Raudra Rup came in and immediately, hey Yadava, hey Sakheti, Ajanat, I did not know, I didn't do it purposely. Just like that. Let us see. Sri Aurobindo replies, not in the least. You are writing like Samuel Smiles. We will just look at the footnote. Who is this author? Samuel Smiles, a well-known Scottish writer of the mid-19th century, who laid great stress on the importance of difficulties and self-effort in building character in achievements of every kind. So if you are writing like this person, Samuel Smiles, so it says that you must have difficulties and you must have difficulties for building character and getting any achievement. Otherwise, you will not have. I don't think it is necessary. Hey Bhagwan, please give me difficulties. Some people make this type of prayer. Please give me difficulties so then I will improve. I don't think we should do this prayer. No, imagine it gets true. If God is going to help you grow without difficulties, do we need them? You already have enough. So let us continue. Sri Aurobindo says, poverty has never had any terrors for me, nor is it an incentive. You seem to forget that I left my very safe and handsome Baroda position without any need to it, and that I gave up also the rupees 150 of the National College principalship, leaving myself with nothing to live on. I could not have done that if money had been the incentive. It is no. You're saying like that. What money is the incentive? Or fear? If it was the fear factor or something, I would not have left only. Nirodbaran replies, but what is the use of telling me what Nietzsche meant by it? How am I to know what you mean? How am I to know that you mean the same as he? Sri Aurobindo, he replies, certainly not the commercial test. I was quoting Nietzsche, so the mention of him is perfectly opposite. Sri Aurobindo, Nirodbaran, he says, kindly let us know by your examples what you mean by living dangerously, that we poor people may gather some courage and knowledge. It is good Sri Aurobindo was inside of room and this was just a written. I don't know if it was straight in front of me. I think, yeah, they had dialogues afterwards in evening talk. There also the same freedom was there. But this is even just visualizing it is something quite a lot. It's taking too much for granted, it appears, that freedom. Anyway, Shaibendu replies, yeah, I won't. The question was again, kindly let us know by your examples what you mean by living dangerously, that we poor people may gather some courage and knowledge. Sri Aurobindo says, I won't. It is altogether unnecessary. Besides, if you don't realize that starting and carrying on for 10 years and more, a revolutionary movement for independence without means and in a country wholly unprepared for it meant living dangerously, no amount of puncturing of your skull with words will give you that simple perception. And as to you, you yourself were perorating at the top of your voice about its awful, horrible, pathetic, and tragic dangers. So, hyphen. I'm not going to glorify a question. I'm not going to answer, especially because we all know, no, Sri Aurobindo's Alipur jail experience and all. It was very difficult. What was it? Was a time where the lower forces wanted to extinguish the Agni only. But who can touch the Vaishwanara? That Agni cannot be doused. But that time it looked at it. It looked like it. For a moment, even Sri Aurobindo felt what's going to happen now? Because he had come to India, left everything, and suddenly in solitary confinement in 6 by 9 feet, waiting to be in a prison of 6 by 9 feet, waiting to be tried to be hanged for a crime he has not committed also. These were dangers, and he was not many people know that Sri Aurobindo was very, very deep into the freedom struggle before entering into his Adhyatmic Marga. Anybody has heard of the Congress split? Surat split, as it was known in the independence movement. It was a big, big moment where in that conference even chairs were flung between moderates and extremists. So that is what the in the Western what we can say etymology or use of words. One was called moderate group, which was pro UK, and the other which pro Great Britain, and the other was called extremists. So that split had taken place. Lokmanya Tilak was there presiding, but not many people know that the split was spoken by Sri Aurobindo only. Okay, now it has to part. The ways have to part in different places. Very deeply involved. So the statement is actually, though written privately, it does make somewhere a little bit on the inside. I am only getting irritated by Dr. Nirodbaran's statement. Of course, he is doing it with the freedom that he has been given. So I have no authority also. But let's continue. He says, yes. So no amount of puncturing your skull with words will give you that simple perception. Last question, we stop here. I beg to submit my apologies. My apologies. I committed this folly because of the ignorance of facts. This is a typical answer. Arjuna also told, no? I did not mean. Most of our friends do something silly or something stupid. No, I did it out of love only. It was just, I didn't mean to do it. So let us see his explanation. I beg to submit my apologies. I committed this folly because of ignorance of facts. Believe me, I did not know that you were the brain behind the revolutionary movement and its real leader till I read the other day what Barin Babu has written about you. In brackets, that does not minimize my guilt, I know, but even then I couldn't persuade myself to believe it, though I am very glad to hear it. So he's having doubts also even after hearing about it. I only knew that you were an extremist Congress leader for which the government was shadowing and suspecting you. Now that it is confirmed by you, I know, in bracket, not by experience, What is meant by the phrase living dangerously? Of course, I was not referring to anything about yoga or inner life. But why put me to shame by dragging my poor self into it? My dangers don't prove anything, do they? So he is as, what we can say, incorrigible as ever. Like he says, no, don't bring me into it. I didn't know it. Sri Aurobindo replies, wait a sec. I have admitted nothing about Barin Babu, only to having inspired and started and maintained while I was in the field a moment I was in while I was in the field a moment for independence that used at least to be a matter of public knowledge. I do not commit myself to more than that. My dear fellow, I was acquitted of sedition twice and of conspiracy to wage war against the British Raj once, and each time by an impeccably British magistrate, judges or judge. Does not that prove conclusively my entire harmlessness and that I am a true ahimsuk? In bracket, Sri Aurobindo referred humorously to the letters of disciples, where they often repeated the same points again and again. Let's stop here. We'll just stop at this point because it is time for us. So, in this point, actually, he just says that I am not confirming or denying. I'm not confirming what Marin Babu has talked about. I've just said that I maintained. And then humorously he says, Ki, I got acquitted twice. So I'm quite harmless. So we'll just probably with this we stop. But my question is, why is Sri Aurobindo taking so much time to respond to Nirodbaran's questions? Because nowadays anybody asks, our own friend asks us three unnecessary questions. They're like strike one, strike two, strike three. You are out. You're blocked now. We have enough and we block in all whatever platforms we are using immediately. I don't want to talk to this person because he's asked this question. I don't have time. My time is too precious. Now here the great yogi, why do you think he is entertaining such questions without fuming and thundering and throwing arrows? Anybody? With this we conclude, which is just for a point of trying to, yeah, please, Aditi ji. Yes, please.
Nirodbaran is sincere and he sees potential in him.
He says so sincerity is important, isn't it?
And yeah, like like a nerdy person asks so many questions to teacher, but teacher knows that they are coming from place of honesty. So
From the place of honesty. So that is one thing. Yes. Okay, Dr. Suraji, yes, please.
One more thing is that when we have some confusions
Hmm.
and we exactly don't know what to ask.
Yeah, we do not know what that is important. No, means we don't know what to ask only sometimes. Question, I can't express myself. Many times we are not able to express our own feelings, no, because of lack of clarity.
Or inquire what we actually need. So by allowing a person to make their own question perfectly, we are halfway through making understand what they are asking.
What a beautiful point. As Sharvindo is not, he's not quickly brushing aside and stopping it there. Instead, he is empowering him to see this is not, this point is wrong, that point is wrong. What we call neti, neti, no, not this, not this, and then go to that. Yes, Dr. Surajji. I think you also follow that to your students, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like let them ask the question.
Ji, sir, ji, sir.
And only get the way clearly to make the way clear for the perfect answer. Otherwise, the question is juggled, answer, whatever you gave the answer, they will not get it.
Ji, ji. I'm just feeling instead of mechanical engineering, it would have been nice if I did BAMS and somebody like you was there.
No.
Yes, Dr. Suraj. Yes.
I see like just like you told me that earlier that like I, for the last month I've been going through a lot of, like, I was distancing myself
Ji, sir.
from, I wasn't able to attend even 1 hour
No,
thing.
that is fine. Ji. But this is aspect of, we can say, means the sincerity is being taken, and that becomes the movement for him.
I
So,
heard
Dr.
today,
Ji,
like, what is that? To pull that force from
Ji,
you, you try again and again and again,
yes,
but
yes, yes,
it
yes.
will keep on
And yeah. Ji, sir. This is one thing from one thing we can see about Nirodban's why Sri Aurobindo is doing this. But just from our perspective, we want to look at what do we really say of Sri Aurobindo's tolerance on a scale of 10.
maybe 11.
11, isn't it? Yes, isn't it? So tolerant. He's so tolerant. So means not tolerating falsehood. Not even one. He's saying, no, but but having that. So this is something which is missing in today's general discourse, in public discourse. Why public discourse? Home discourse only. Opposite
I
view. Yes, sir.
feel pretty much like nobody is willing to just listen, or doesn't have any a single speck of patience in them.
Yeah. Because it is something a sanskara created, no, by this
Everyone
society.
wants to know, everyone asks the question, and they don't have time to listen to the answer.
They want to express what's in your mind.
Strange.
Yeah.
They ask,
So
so it's 100 question, but they are not even able to stand to listen one answer.
yes. The preconceived notions are already there. Because of preconceived notions, people prefer to be in echo chambers, reinforce what they hear. And so this is something, that is something. Why that is why Sherwin also, he is willing to take, I mean, look at the statement, no? You were pretty off, you have not done something adventurous at all. Indirectly, Shishya is only speaking. If he was a little upset about his, what is this? How can anybody speak? No. So I think we are trying to look at in a very different aspect about a personality. But I think if we want to imbibe this principle also, I think we should also learn, and like Shrebind would say, opposites can be true. Somebody had asked him, there was a time when he was smoking. He stopped it afterwards. It was his wish. We don't look at yogis for their behaviors. But one person who was very wise guy, he tried to come and ask him, why do you stick to smoking? He was the person's Sharon responded, why do you stick to non-smoking? So logic, something higher than that we have to go, because like we have to understand, and I think that is something. Understand the sincerity. Probably we will be able to move ahead in harmony without creating bhed in the minds, bhed or divides between people also. So that is one inference probably, I think, from this beautiful dialogue between a very modern guru and a very modern shishya. See, in today's time also we are not having that modernness in the people in 2030, in 2025. Maybe even in 2035 we'll have to see. We're all going to watch, no? What's going to happen, we'll know. Let's hope a good change does come. Yes, sir. You want
Like,
to say something?
one more thing that I feel we have to take it from this aspect is like to that the doctors like fed up with the medicine, like that,
Ha, ha.
wanted a new dimension, but the guru has put him into the carpentry.
Hmm.
Like, so like I felt similar kind of with me also. Like when we do a routine thing with the, like, have studied medicine for 4 and 5 years or so something, spending the 25,000
Ha.
at that time. And he is doing the routine thing, and he's
Hmm.
stuck. And again, taking that knowledge, putting into the same, he's completely trapped in that cycle. To
Yes.
break that cycle, you need something new.
Yes. No, because in our cleaning initiative we are doing, no?
Yeah.
For surgeons and all are coming and picking trash. Means they get
Yes.
only one day off. Allopathic system, Monday to Saturday is busy. but on Sunday they are coming to pick up trash. So are they picking up the trash and cleaning the beach only? Maybe they might be cleaning mind also. Absolutely. So that is one nice point Dr. Surajji has said. Because more than profession, we must have some aspect in our life. Yes, yes, sir. Absolutely.
Then only we can get a space for news.
Ji, absolutely, ji. Ji,
Then
that's also a great point too.
we can take it from this.
Because then we'll have a connection. Means the samashti also, where connection should not be lost. Otherwise, we get trapped in. That's a wonderful point Dr. Surajji has shared. Yes, sir. So I think, can someone, if anybody has any questions, any queries, you are welcome. Otherwise, I would request summary from anyone. Generally, Chitraji makes a summary. So if anybody else wants also, I think she will be generous. If anybody wants to make the summary of some points, otherwise, we'll go to Chitraji.
What is the difference between peace and Anand?
Peace and Ananda. Okay, peace in Sanskrit can be translated to Shanti. Ananda is bliss or felicity. They are connected also, isn't it? In Gita, there is a question asked by Krishna, Ashantasya kutaha sukham? When there is no peace, where can you find happiness? Can you be, I'm very happy but not peaceful? No, isn't it? They are very connected. And so, but sukha means happiness. Ananda is one step higher than sukha, which is bliss. Bliss is something which is not a sensory perception only. It is an extra sensory perception which human beings can get. Where can you get it? Bliss, you remember hugging your mother. I think that would be a bliss only, no moment of bliss. Or some special moment. Go quite deep into it, and then that's suddenly. Sometimes people get tears also in bliss. There's an evacuation of feelings. It's something because it's overwhelming the senses. It's something which is beyond what the senses can handle. That is the Ananda. And in the Ananda also, it is still the evacuation takes place. Still, you have not tasted the Ananda. When the evacuation is completed, then you will continue, you will go into that state, which is Ananda. It is also called in Gita, I mean in the Veda, Sat, Chit, Ananda. Trinity are there. Three are connected. Sat means what? Truth. Chit is consciousness. Ananda is bliss. Satchidananda. Like that, with Satchidananda also, there is another with Sat, Satyam, Rutam, Bruhat. That maybe we'll see some other time, but it's like truth, this consciousness, Satyam, Rutam, Bruhat. Satya is that Rata or the highest truth, which is vast, vast like the skies. So there is a sea of Ananda entering inside of a person when a person experiences it. Because that is when clarity of truth also comes inside. So that is why it is something which is not to be pursued. In some countries, you have the right in right to pursuit of happiness. There's in the constitution, isn't it? Of, of a country, there is a yeah, there is this what we can say very clear statement, right to pursuit of happiness. Our yogis said, don't run after happiness, don't pursue happiness. Dog doesn't have to run after its tail to check if it is behind, which is in the front. Like that, Ananda comes naturally. It is a consequence. Create the ground for Ananda, peace will create that ground. Yes, ji. All right then. Yes. Anybody would like to summarize or we move to Chitraji only? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes, ji.
Yeah, so again, Dr. Nirodbaran ji told about the pressure during meditation and this time how he incorporated the previous technique that was told to him. That is, he has to widen his consciousness. So one of the ways that he thought was to think that he is as large as the universe. So Sri Aurobindo responded that that could be one of the ways. So and then we saw about few points about force, where Dr. Nirodbaran asks, how does force enter? Is it like Ananda and peace, or how does it enter? So he gets a response that it also enters the same way like Ananda and peace. And some people understand and experience it easily, whereas some don't. And when he asked how can he bring upon the force, so he gets a response that there's a lid in between, that it has to be removed and then the force will come down. So this is similar to the mother's experience. I too had read about it. So
Okay, just one moment. That lid being, we get a thought block at times. Many times we don't realize that there's a block which can be pushed aside by the divine grace, or when you realize it. Because I think poets get a flow, no? Suddenly that flow stops for some reason. And then they again get that flow because there is a block. That block is something which is mostly what we call a mental block. You only don't realize that you are like Hanuman. You can take the leap. You just need someone like Jambuvan to probably tell you. And that thought block is gone, and you are now connected and you are free to keep receiving from that. Yes, please. Please continue, Ji. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ji.
yes. So, yeah, the mother's experience, I also could relate to that because recently I had read about that. So, the mother had told that there's the golden door, and she had a golden hammer, and she had to break that, and that led to the
Hmm.
supramental descent coming to
Manifestation.
the
Descent. Yeah.
earth, and it's available for everyone to meditate
Receive.
and receive it. Something of that kind
Yeah.
was there, so I too could relate to that. Um, and then the usage of force. So, how does Dr. Nirodbaran use this force to get things done? Was one of the question. So he said that it has to be used steadily, and the force that has come to you can also go out of you. So that's the way you use it. And he also mentions that the usage of force to get ordinary works done is much easier when compared to putting someone on the path of sadhana. So that was another point that we saw. This was about the forces, and then about the other questions related to the dangers of Sri Aurobindo and that thing. So
His life, and yeah, that was the part where Nirodbaran was playfully as well as teasingly, or as he used the word pricking to prod. You should never try to awaken a sleeping guy. But luckily, Shervindo is not going to, he does not really mind all of it. But yeah, that is his way. Like even Arjuna was asking questions to Sri Krishna, isn't it? Krishna, how can I believe you? That you thought the Surya. You. You thought Manu. You thought Ikshvaku. How did this happen? Vivaswan, you were born afterwards. I don't believe you. So he was like, I heard from Barin Babu. He says, I heard from Barin Babu that you have done, but I still, I'm not able to believe you were a revolutionary. You were in that. And he said, yeah, yeah, don't you know, I got acquitted also, so I am quite harmless. He said, I am Suk. So you see, I got acquitted, so there is no case against me being. And that is exactly what we see. And one more important aspect was about the patience also that Sri Aurobindo's he had. That is something, let us be, like as Dr. Surajji also talked about, good listeners. Best listeners were our Vedic rishis, no? Shruti. They heard the mantras, they heard the higher wisdom. So our Kshetragnya is there, no? Everywhere. In our room also, Krishna may be sitting to whisper to us. We need to hear it. So that is something we'll have to learn to start hearing. That is also something. So, all right, with this, let us conclude. We continue again next week. This beautiful correspondence with Sri Aurobindo. And again, Namo Namaha to Dr. Nirodbaran also, without whom we would not have this beautiful side of Sri Aurobindo. Because if you read Sri Aurobindo's literary works, they are mind blowing. They are too deep, too huge. A very famous Sanskrit scholar with gold medal in Sanskrit Vyakarana, and who is also a research scientist. He came to me, I remember him just giving out a big laugh. saying, Sri Aurobindo is a little difficult to understand, no? And he started laughing, and I was like, yes, sir, absolutely. So here, Sri Aurobindo's yoga becomes simplified for us through this correspondence. Just like how Krishna's, Yogeshwara's truth became simplified through the Gita for us because of Arjuna. So, Navan Namaskars to Dr. Nirodbaran. We conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tatsat. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Punar Milama. See you in the next week again. Looking forward. Namaskar.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Hari Om. Namaskar. Hari Om Ji. If no queries, I conclude.